So, over the past few days, there have been a lot of news regarding MAS sending advisory letters to 5 content creators. Naturally, there was a lot of speculation as to whether I'm one of them, especially since I have such a big following. And earlier this year, one of my videos have unintentionally caused some panic. So, the short answer is no. Sorry to disappoint the haters. And to my supporters, thank you for your concern. Now, to be fair, even if I did receive the letters, I wouldn't be too surprised, as I'm under no illusion that I'm perfect, because I'm well aware that over the years, I've made my share of mistakes, and some of my content may have caused harm to some of you guys. But I've also tried to keep improving, learning from feedback, and giving as balanced of an opinion as I can. And of course, even though I've learned investing in my name, there are certain lines that I will never cross. For example, despite being approached repeatedly, I've consistently refused to promote unregulated trading platforms. As for the platforms that I do choose to work with, I make sure to put real skin in the game. I use them personally, put my own money on the line, and do my due diligence before recommending anything. Now, one recurring point that I've seen online is this idea that you need to have a license to talk about personal finance. And if someone says that they have a license, they therefore must be qualified to give advice. But the truth is, all of these licenses are actually not for providing financial advice to the public. In Singapore, real financial advisory services are regulated under the Financial Advisors Act. But even licensed financial advisors are only allowed to give tailored one-on-one advice specific to the individual's circumstances and not blanket recommendations. So, for example, a licensed financial advisor can't just come online and make stock calls publicly, while claiming the license allows them to do so. If you want to talk about real content creator license, it must be a license that's specifically for content creation, which so far Singapore doesn't have. Malaysia, on the other hand, does have such a framework, which I happen to have a license for. But here's the real issue. Even having a license doesn't automatically make your advice good. A clear example is the rise in complaints about ILPs, despite the fact that these are sold by licensed financial advisors. So ultimately, it boils down to two things. First, whether the person giving the advice genuinely has your best interest at heart. From what I've seen, most influencers genuinely do, because if they didn't, they wouldn't be able to survive in this space over the long term. But second, even well-intentioned advice can have unintended consequences. Take for example, S&P 500 is a very common investment. Everyone talks about it, whether it's content creators, banks, or even Warren Buffett. But if you invest and the market goes through a lost decade of flat returns, does that mean all of us gave bad advice? Similarly, topping up CPF SA is often talked about by both content creators and CPF itself. But if doing so hurts your cash flow or causes you to miss future market gains, is that automatically bad advice? Here's another example. Buy calls. If a creator says, I'm buying X because I'm bullish on it, is that considered as financial advice? Technically, you could argue that it's just sharing a personal opinion. But on the other hand, you can also say that the whole point of the buy calls is to induce you to buy. Because otherwise, why would he share his calls if he doesn't want you to listen to him? These statements can often influence people, sometimes wrongly. While repeated buy calls, especially from someone with a large following, can trigger FOMO and lead viewers to buy without fully understanding the risk. And this brings us to the viewer's responsibility. I've seen many cases where viewers follow advice blindly. There's only so much content creators can do to warn you of the risk, like saying, this is not financial advice, or if you follow me, you will lose money, or I'm just sharing what I'm doing, I never asked you to buy. But let's be honest, how many people actually read or take these warnings seriously? This is also why personally, I don't often say this is not financial advice, because I find disclaimers like this to be pretty meaningless. Instead, I prefer to explain my reasoning clearly and highlight risks rather than hide behind some legal phrasing. At most, I will add a "this is not financial advice" right at the bottom of my video description, simply because it is encouraged by MAS to do so. That brings us to the new guideline for content creators. Personally, I feel that while the guideline is a good step towards the right direction, it is also too vague. Take their line about not exploiting FOMO or inducing panic, for example. On paper, that sounds reasonable, but in practice, what exactly does this mean? For example, if I talk about Nvidia investing $100 billion into OpenAI and say I'm bullish, is that considered exploiting FOMO? What about saying that S&P 500 is overvalued now? Don't say I never warned you, Does that count as inducing panic? Without clear examples, it is hard for content creators to know where the line is. and we just have to rely on our gut feel on what we can or cannot do. Generally speaking, I do feel that influencers as a whole have been compliant so far. This has also been mentioned by PM Lawrence Wong, who doesn't think that influencers are creating systemic risk. And even if they want to regulate us, the reality is that it is an open internet, and they can't stop people from accessing things online. So while MAS has taken the right steps, there's a lot more that needs to be done. First, MAS could of course provide more concrete examples of what's acceptable and what's not. Second, coming out with a proper licensing system for influencers might also help, not just because it will make us more legitimate, but also let creators know about the rules, which will make our job much easier to do. Finally, we need to invest more into financial literacy. Social media is currently a primary source of financial information for many Singaporeans, and yet personal finance is barely taught in schools, even though it is arguably more useful and more important in real life than something like the Pythagoras theorem. Having better financial literacy means viewers can evaluate content more critically instead of following blindly. All in all, I think the latest development shows that the industry is maturing. While it is not perfect yet and MAS still has work to do, it's definitely a step in the right direction. For my part, nothing changes. I'll keep producing content that I believe is useful, responsible, and balanced. I've made mistakes in the past, but I've also learned to be more careful in how I present, especially on ones that may potentially cause harm. To my supporters who continue to watch my videos, thank you. It genuinely means a lot, and I hope that I've made at least a small positive impact on your financial journey. As always, if you found this useful, like, share, and subscribe as I'll be posting new videos every week.